hospitals, graveyards, parks, and beaches? How would you like to visit the Kilmainham jail and see where the leaders of the Easter Rising were imprisoned and executed? How would you like to look at breathtaking views of the cliffs of Moher? Today's guests will talk about these and other unique experiences they encountered on a recent trip to Ireland. The Humanities Mass Communication Department at Norwalk Community College presents New Directors, the show that introduces you to television's future writers, directors, and personalities. And now, join our host, Sharon Fraudlick, to meet the next new director.
Thank you for joining us for today's edition of the New Directors. All of the people involved in this program are students in the television production course and are directing, switching, controlling audio, operating cameras, and acting as talent for the first time today. The guests you'll meet on this show are students who, when not on camera, are behind the scenes working hard to bring this program to you with as few mistakes as possible. Each student has written and directed 4 different productions. This program will give them the chance to talk about themselves and the productions they've created and give you the chance to get to know them and enjoy some of the work they've done during the semester. Our guest today is a psychology student who visited Ireland recently and has many photos from this trip. We would like you to meet today's guest, Connor Stephenson.
Great to be here.
Great to meet you. So, tell us about your trip to Ireland.
It was a very interesting and exciting place to be. Let's look at some of the photos I took. So the first time I went there, I was under 21 but over 18, so I could drink in Ireland, which was cool. And there were a lot of photos that were vertical that I couldn't show, but these two look pretty cool. So yeah. As the announcer talked before, I went to the Kilmainham jail, which was really interesting and had a lot of cool architecture. I also went to a couple graveyards, which were really cool. They had a lot of old, ancient graves and other stoneware that was really interesting to look at, and it blended really well together with the scenery. It was just really interesting to see something that old. We also went to basically the Irish mountains, the Burns, where I took a lot of photos, and it was an interesting look at the rural Irish countryside. There are a lot of rusted metal things, so quite like America. Let's see, what else? And there was a lot of fog sometimes when it was heavier. We also went to the cliffs of Moher, which were really cool. I'm not a fan of heights, so I was afraid of them a bit. And we also went to some beaches, which are interesting in Ireland, that there are beaches, because one wouldn't think of them. I went to castles and took some photos from the turret on one of them, and those were some really interesting photos of the surrounding area. It's a very old place, just like most European countries.
That was a lot of great stuff to look at. So what made you decide to take the film and TV production course?
Well, I'm really interested in movies and TV in general, and I was interested in getting like a behind-the-scenes view of how those things are created. I think that's really interesting. So yeah, I was really glad to take the course and be able to learn how to shoot and edit stuff.
Cool. So what have you learned about the process of recording and editing film, and was it what you expected to be?
The recording end wasn't really what I expected it to be. I thought it would be easy, but it was actually a little bit tiring, which was surprising to me. Though, if I think about it, like, making a movie does require a lot of effort and moving and switching, but editing was easier than I anticipated it would be, which was ironic, because that's usually the more technical part of it. So yeah.
Cool. So would you mind please telling us about student studies, the cup of tea, nature, and the orange projects that you completed throughout the semester?
Sure. So the first one I did was student studies. which was not very good, and I didn't know about different lightings, and I didn't know how to use white balance, which really affected it, and it's very grainy. But I did experiment with using with the rule of thirds, and yeah. I also did this in my cup of tea project, where everything was very symmetrical, and I try to practice using quick cuts. They're not that quick, but cuts that show action, and yeah. So it was an interesting project to do. And I think it was pretty effective for the script that I was working with. The third one, the nature project, was the hardest one for me because I didn't really know what I was looking for, and the continuous zoom and like shifts focus and poor man's dissolve were really difficult for me. But at this shot especially I liked. It had good use of geometrical shape as well as lines of grace and a good use of the rule of thirds. So it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. The orange project, my last one, was a lot like the first one, that it focused a lot on physical action and using the rule of thirds, but also balancing it in the center, kind of like Wes Anderson style. And I used this time I perfected the continuous zoom and helped use it as a cutaway to advance the story.
So, out of those 4 projects, which would you say is your best? Tell us a little more about that one and what made it so.
The best one was the orange project, which I really enjoyed making. I mean, it was good both because I didn't have to work from a script that I was forced to use, but also because it was slightly improvisational, and I think that added a unique quality to it, and it helped quicken the pace of the story, and I enjoyed making something slightly horror related, even though it wasn't actually like scary. It was interesting because I love horror movies, and it was interesting to try to find a way to represent that horror through this project, which it's a funny, goofy thing, but I kind of think it was my best because I brought my own view of media into it instead of focusing on getting the shots.
So what would you say is the most useful skill you learned in the course, and how do you think you'll be putting it to use?
Definitely it's the rule of thirds, because I like taking a lot of nature photography and landscape, and that rule of thirds, as well as balancing photos and stuff like that, and 6 rules of composition really have made me think about what I'm taking a photo of when I'm taking it, instead of just trying to capture it without knowing what I'm actually taking a photo of. So yeah, I think that'll help me when I go to other countries or other places where there's beautiful landscapes.
Well, it was definitely great getting to meet you today, Connor.
Thank you. You too.
So today we got to meet someone who shared with us the beauty of Ireland. As a new TV director, they hope to apply what they have learned here at NCC to document other visits to various places. They also plan to use the new knowledge from TV One to take well-balanced photographs in the future. We would like to thank Connor Stephenson for joining us today.
You're welcome.
We hope you enjoyed meeting one of television's future directors, and we hope you will continue to join us each week to watch our progress. Thank you, and have a great day.
This has been The New Directors with your host, Sharon Fraudlick, directed by Ismarie Rodriguez. I'm your announcer, Kadeem Graham. The New Directors is a Norwalk Community College student production.